understood that, Sir Alan.
Wes Anderson's 2018 film Isle of Dogs follows the story of a young boy, Atari, as he tries to reunite with his beloved pet dog in an alternative future Tokyo in which dogs have been banned due to spreading disease. Throughout the film, we encounter multiple characters who cannot understand each other for many reasons. Some are dogs and cannot speak a human language, while others, like the American exchange student Tracy, only has a limited understanding of Japanese. For my thesis, I examined how multiple languages can be represented in film and literature, especially with a monolingual audience in mind, and I use Isle of Dogs as my case study. In the climax of Isle of Dogs, the American exchange student Tracy and Atari appear at a political rally in which they uncover that the corrupt mayor falsely accused the dogs of spreading disease for his own political gain. Both of them try to explain the reality to the public in an effort to save the dogs, but they are not both successful. Although the citizens of the city who are bilingual understand Tracy's speech, it does not move them. Oppositely, when Atari speaks to them in Japanese, they are persuaded, and they turn against the corrupt mayor. Atari's speech is left untranslated, and Tracy and the English-speaking audience are left to guess at what was said in the most important speech in the entire film. The climax of the film provides a moment of clarity for both Tracy and the audience, in which English can carry them only so far. In this key moment in a film created with a monolingual English speakers in mind, the audience is left as passive bystanders. In scenes like this, Anderson makes a major contribution to an important problem in film production, a problem that arises when filmmakers translate their films. When you translate foreign languages, whether by dubbing or subtitling, there is a danger of creating a false equivalency. It would be easy to have every line of Japanese dialogue subtitled so their meaning is readily available to the audience. But that is not how real communication in languages work. In the climax of the film, Atari's Japanese goes untranslated because there is no one there to act as interpreter. And this thought process carries through the rest of the film. Translations and explanations are only offered when there is a character present who is capable of translating. The film even opens with a disclaimer that explains how translation will only be provided when possible, and how that the dog's barks have been translated into English. In Isle of Dogs, Wes Anderson wants the audience to feel that a strictly monolingual interpretation of the film through subtitling, dubbing, or other forms of complete translation can never convey the full story. The use of multiple translation and non-translation techniques can be interpreted as a call for audiences to seek understandings of the film and literature beyond their monolingual perception. Anderson's creative mix of translation techniques achieves the goals that Bakhtin calls heteroglossic commentary. Heteroglossia refers to multiple dialects of speech being included in literature to create new and fuller understandings of realistic language, and acts as a counter to hegemonic linguistic discourses. Later scholars such as Grootman expanded the term to include multiple languages within literature, as seen in Isle of Dogs. The film dives into a century-long discussion on the use of subtitles and dubbing, and which is the quote-unquote best form of translation for the screen. Here, Anderson's mixed approach to translation, often switching between subtitled news broadcasts and simultaneously dubbed-over political speeches, illustrates that every form of translation is imperfect, and only being able to rely on a single language to understand will always be imperfect. Reviewers of Isle of Dogs often take issue with the instances of non-translation for Atari and a few other Japanese-speaking characters, and view Tracy as an audience replacement for the role of white saviors. Many worry that Anderson's attempt at homage to Japanese filmmakers like Kurosawa and Miyazaki come off more like cultural tourism, with Japan and its citizens acting as aesthetically pleasing but ultimately passive background noise. However, through the lens of heteroglossic commentary, it is possible to hear the many important things the film is saying about the reality of cross-cultural communication and translation. If we understand Isle of Dogs as an attempt to practice Bakhtin theory of dismantling hegemonic communication by actively excluding the English-speaking audience, perhaps we can take the trailer's tagline, "I wish somebody spoke his language," as a sincere call to understand stories through lingual perspectives of others.